These are the adjustments that Israel Adesanya must make if he wants to continue fighting in the UFC. He's got to get off first. This fight, he was completely trying to be Mr. Technical, Mr. Finesse, and, be the matador to Imavov's bull. But I gotta tell you, at 35 years old, it's harder to do that than when you were 27, 28. You get what I'm saying here, guys? When your style depends on speed, reflexes, moving in and out, movement, footwork, all things like that. When that's what your game relies on, when you get older, you're not going to be as fast. You're not going to be as quick. You're going to have these young guys like Imavov, who I think is like 28, 29. You're going to have those guys that have the advantage in that, and you're not going to have that forever, and you must evolve. Look at Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, early in his career, he was the dancer. He was quick, fleet of foot, all things like that. Later in his career, he relied more on his toughness. He started playing rope-a-dope. He was just someone that would survive, get through, and then put it on you, outlast you. But it wasn't, a guy holding on to a style that no longer works, and that's what Israel Adesanya needs to do. Another thing that Israel Adesanya needs to do is he has to understand that he knocked out Alex Pereira. He knocked out Paulo Costa. He knocked out Robert Whitaker. This guy could knock you out. He's a dangerous guy, and I feel somewhere along the way, maybe it was the Yoel Romero fight, but somewhere along the way, he became more focused on being fancy and pretty and finesse and all these things and technical and jab, jab, leg kick or feint, 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 leg kick. He started doing that kind of style and not, sitting down on his punches and reminding people that he needs to be respected. Imavov did not respect his power. Imavov, Dricus du Plessis, Sean Strickland, all guys that have beaten him as of late, they did not respect his power. And they're able to walk him down. Also, I'm going to show you this picture right here. This right here is right before he got knocked out, okay? This is just before he got knocked out. As you can see, he's playing the distance game, but Israel Adesanya should know this. He does know this. There's no way I know this and he doesn't know this. You get what I'm saying? But catch this. So he's playing the distance game, and you'll remember Conor McGregor versus Eddie Alvarez. It's the same thing. When they do this, the hand fighting, the fencing, whatever you want to call it, they're there to measure distance and to assess what needs to happen next. So just by looking at this, is Imavov that far away from him? Look at their legs too. Their feet are almost on top of each other here. They're really close, one step away from being on top of his foot here in either direction. Imavov is too close. He's too close. And Israel Adesanya is already back to the back lines, right? He's already there. He needs to move. And he can't just move back on a straight line, but that's what he does. He moves back on a straight line. Well, first he switches stances. And then he tries to move back on a straight line. Imavov catches him with the right hand right here, and that starts all of it. There was no head movement here. There was no head movement when Imavov threw that right hand. Izzy could have 100%. I think he should have 100% anticipated the punch from Imavov, but he didn't, you know what I'm saying? And maybe he did in his head, but maybe his body's just, not making the moves and the reads as fast. Maybe the brain reads it, but the body doesn't, react as fast because he's 35 and, he's been doing this a while, etc., etc. But if he's going to play that game, he has to get his head off the center line. He has to do something else besides just move straight backwards in a straight line. Israel Adesanya, when he got dropped by Dricus du Plessis, when he got dropped by Sean Strickland, when he got dropped by Nasruddin Imavov, he was backing up with the fence behind him. That's just the facts, folks. And, Izzy, in my opinion, needs to start to lead more. He needs to set his feet. He needs to understand that he's not this, ballerina. He don't got to be a ballerina in there. He don't got to run around and do the feints. That's how Israel Adesanya leads, by the way. He's, Michael Venom Page does the same thing, and I don't really care for it either. But, it's tricky, and it does stuff like that. But when you get to a certain level, when you get to a certain, age even, it's gonna decline. And I just think Izzy must stand his ground more. He has to be more diverse with his striking attacks. He can't just be feint, feint, feint. Like, commit to the jab, bro. Like, develop a really strong jab. Izzy throws his jab very rarely. He has a pretty good jab, but he throws it so rarely. He just doesn't throw it. Like, he'll feint the jab, feint the jab, feint the jab, but then he'll, throw a leg kick, or he'll throw a right hand, but he's never just, like, actually popping his jab. He's never throwing punches and bunches while going forward. He only throws for real when you pressure him, and I just think, it's not going to work forever, and it hasn't been working. It hasn't been working. We're seeing it not work in real time, fight after fight after fight now. I do not subscribe to the idea that Israel Adesanya can never be a champion again. Michael Bisping won the title very late into his career after taking tons of damage in his career, lost a damn eye to the sport, and Michael Bisping, through sheer willpower and all these things, pushed himself to that opportunity to where he stepped in on short notice against Luke Rockhold, always being the guy ready to go, always being in shape, etc., etc., steps up to the plate and gets the job done. Israel Adesanya, in my opinion, could win a title again because he's Israel Adesanya. It's different from Michael Bisping because Michael Bisping was the grinder. He wasn't like this crazy big name, but he was a big enough name, right, for them to call him to fight Luke Rockhold. But Israel Adesanya is a legend. Israel Adesanya is a long-reigning champion. He's one of those guys. He's a different caliber of legend than, let's say, a Michael Bisping, in terms of accomplishment and achievement in their careers. So Israel, in my opinion, is never too far away from winning, or not from winning, but from getting a title shot. He's never that far removed because of his name, Israel Adesanya. All he has to do is go out there, win his next fight, win another fight, 2 fights in a row, and now all of a sudden, the way this fight game works, man, anything could happen. Someone could pull out, someone could say no, someone could, Ramadan's coming up. I'm fasting during Ramadan. Dana White's like, oh yeah, click on to the next guy. You know what I mean? Like, we don't care what you got going on. We don't care if you're nursing a foot injury. Yes or no, are you accepting the fight? And if the answer is no, we're going to call the next guy. We're going to call the next guy with the opportunity, and we're going to see who raises their hand. And no doubt, in my mind, Israel Adesanya, if he puts 2 wins together, 3 wins together, that he could get another crack at the title. But with that said, that's if he makes the proper adjustments. And again, the adjustments he needs to make is he needs to remember that he can knock people out. He needs to remember he's a very dangerous guy. He needs to lead the dance. He needs to be more aggressive, be more assertive. Stop letting his opponents get off first every time. You can't just be feint, leg kick, move around guy anymore, okay? That doesn't work when you get to an age where your speed and your reflexes are reduced. You have to take note from guys that have come before you. I used the Muhammad Ali example because, in my opinion, it's the best example, right? Most famous combat sports guy of all time. You got to use him. He was the dancer early on. Watch the way he fought towards the end when he was still winning fights and things like that. It was completely different. Not as much movement. More just taking punches. More rope-a-dope style. More being tough. More standing and trading and setting his feet and all things like that, Israel got to take a page out of that. Israel needs to, be like a Alex Pereira, like be more aggressive. Go in there, try to throw everything with bad intentions. Don't just feint, or throw like a little feeler out jab to measure distance and then a leg kick. Like, no, try to really hurt these guys. That's what I think he needs to do. Shift in mental, shift in approach, shift in game plan, and I think we could see this again at least one more time. So that's my take on this one. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Whether you agree, disagree, it does not matter. Just join the discussion, follow for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.